Do those trade?
I get that. What's that?
I didn't mean to interrupt. Do those trade agreements have an expiration at all?
No, they're indefinite until one side of or the other says, no, I don't want to do that anymore.
Has the damage done, though, by those agreements, has it been so ingrained that even if they eliminated the agreements at this point in time, I mean, would it make a huge difference? Well,
first of all, the damage has been spread out. The plus side for American consumers is that goods coming in from Canada are usually a little cheaper than American goods. And in Mexico, they're cheaper as well, usually 10 or 20%. But it has done damage. I think that eventually, under NAFTA, the U.S. would start demanding Canadian water. And the Canadians are very sensitive about that, and I can hardly blame them. And on the other hand, Mexico has done well, but they've had some problems. People are being employed, but their wages are no higher than they are in China. And these are major Mexican corporations. And so the rich in Mexico have gotten richer. And the downside is not only those crummy salaries, but also it has almost totally destroyed the agricultural industry in Mexico. There are a lot of farms left, needless to say, particularly in Sonora and in Sinaloa and many other places in Mexico. But by and large, Mexico's been a loser. And I know 80% of what they produce goes to the U.S. as well as for Canada to the U.S. It'll still go there. Because if we do away with NAFTA, we'll also implement, and this is going to happen, and nobody agrees with me now, but they will in the end, we will go to tariffs. And the ones that will kick it off will be the British. I think there's an excellent possibility that the British will withdraw from the European Union when they go into bankruptcy. And when that happens, they will institute tariffs. And when the United States goes bankrupt, they will as well put up barriers. They have to. NAFTA has not hurt America in any way like free trade, globalization, offshoring, outsourcing. That has been absolutely the most terrible thing that's happened to the American worker. In 11 years, we've lost 6 million jobs to that alone. In 11 years, we've lost a total of about 15 million, maybe as much as 16 million. Most of them since late 2007, in the last 2.5 years. And it's so important for us to have tariffs, because with tariffs, there's no advantage to transnational conglomerates like Walmart to be outside the country anymore. Because if they make a broom in Shanghai for 50 cents, they make the same broom in Chicago for $1. In order to be competitive, when that Chinese broom comes into America, it will be assessed 50 cents per broom, the money of which will go into the coffers of the federal government, and that will be used to run the government and pay off debt. And maybe that will be part of saving the American economy. I think it would be a very strong, integral part. And so I think that's going to happen when we officially devalue. with everybody else. And why they're going to do it all together is because they don't want to be alone, the politicians and the people who control them. I mean, if the only country that was going bankrupt was Greece and Latvia, Iceland, their constituents would say, oh my goodness, what have you done to us? And the politician or the rich industrialist would stand there and say, well, I don't know what I've done. But if everybody else is doing it, they say, hey, look, the whole world's devaluing. It's part of the thing we got to do. So everybody accepts it. I don't know whether they're going to accept the fact that they're going to be in depression for 30 or 40 years, unless they have a big war, kill everybody off, which is very possible. And historically, you can count on it. I mean, why do you think we lined all our ships up in Pearl Harbor? We had the Japanese diplomatic code broken in 1937, and that's a fact. I know, I was in counterintelligence. I read all of the transcripts and everything. So it's real. Our president had that port bombed so we could declare war on Japan and their ally, Germany. And that's how we got out of the Depression, and that's how we saved Europe from Hitler, who was financed from behind the scenes by bankers in New York, London, and Paris. Isn't that terrific? We go over and get our heads blown off for nothing. And every war's been the same way. War is bad. War is a racket.
Yes, it is. I was just reading a question came in. This is a lengthy one. Kind of we're switching. Well, we're talking about, let's go to Beverly's question first, and the other one is about the Middle East. So we'll do Beverly as she wants to know about the real estate devaluation. She wants to know if you can explain the devaluation of real estate coming in and increasing interest rates. Why will this cause housing prices to sink lower? We do need a roof over our heads. What would be the best real estate to own, if any? She wants to know land with enough space to grow food that is paid for in full. What about rental units that are paid in full?
Has she left anything out?
I don't think so.
Number one, houses are going to keep on going down, probably 20% this year, probably 35 to 40% this year and next on commercial real estate. That doesn't look like a very good investment. You should be renting. You don't need to own a house. People who own houses today are foolish, in the United States at least, or in Ireland or in Spain or in places where they get overpriced. And that'll happen in China very shortly, too. And as far as land's concerned, rent it. You don't need to own it. You want to plant a garden, do it. I see no reason to go out and pay cash for a house, say $200,000, when you can buy gold and silver coins with it. And I would think that 2 or 3 years from now, they might be worth 5 or 10 times what you paid for them. And then you can buy 100 houses, maybe. Because a $200,000 house might be $50,000 or maybe even $20,000. And you're sitting on maybe $1.5 million, $2 million worth of coin. So there's your answers. And you know something? Even if we're wrong, we're still going to make out better than everybody else. So that's the way to go on it.
This question's in from Ron. He says, he's sorry this is so long, but that's okay, Ron. He says he's having trouble getting his mind around this, and he hopes that you will be able to correct or complete his thought, Bob. He says, is this a likely scenario? Iran could easily have acquired nukes from China. He says nuclear war limited to the Middle East, starting with Iran and bringing in China as an Iran protector. The Gulf of Hormuz is closed, so no oil comes through from the Persian Gulf. We at once have oil and gas shortages and high gas prices, also shortages and high prices on everything else because there will be ultra-high costs for shipping and also domestic manufacturing, food production, deliveries, and no more cheap goods at all from China. He says, now having said all that, and though he's made some preparations, he still cannot quite envision, if you know what he means. Pity the poor saps that have not even considered it. If things happen that way, say by late next year, do you think there would be